Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and if you haven't guessed by the title up there, we've got another car boot pickups video. I went back to Smithfield Market this morning. Well, this morning, see, Smithfield Market, I'm sure it starts, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, but to be honest, I usually go about 12 o'clock. I go when it's winding down. And generally speaking, that's when I can pick up things, really, really cheap, because there's a lot of traders on there. I think they'd rather get something for it rather than take it home. And one of the things I got, it was literally only because it was really at the last bit of the day that I got it for what I got it for, because he was adamant on his price. And then he come down a little bit when I said, that's all I'm willing to pay, and it was really at the end of the show. So yeah, what I'll do is I will reset the camera like I do, and we can have a look at the items. There's only 3 items, but a couple of vintage and a modern one. But yeah, we'll have a look what I picked up. So back in a sec. Right, I will go and get the first item. This is the first vintage bit that I bought, and this is actually something I paid a fair chunk of money for what I usually spend at car boot sales, but I think it was worth it, and that was that. Let me get you up so you can see what I bought. There we go. What we've got here, this is a bench grinder. This is a probably 1950s and 1960s bench grinder. Now, to be honest, I already have a bench grinder. It's one that I bought at B&Q about probably 20 years ago, and it's got a little 150 watt motor on it, and it does for small things, but if you try to do anything big on it, it's got no torque on it at all, no real load. As soon as you go in with something and try and grind, it slows down. This is a beast. This is a wolf. Made in England, and I say it's probably from the 1950s and 1960s. And what my plan is I'm going to basically sort this out. It's going to need a little bit of a repaint and most likely a rewire. But I'm going to start using this as my main bench grinder. What I've got, my little bench grinder, I've got some buffing wheels. And at the moment, if I want to use the buffing wheels, I've got to take the abrasive wheels off, take it all apart, put the buffing wheels on. With having this, I can keep this as my main bench grinder. I can put the buffing and polishing wheels on my other one and just leave them on there and use them for that purpose. And I've got a really good industrial bench grinder. And this is a work of art. This is an absolute thing of beauty. You will not get a bench grinder in like this. This is all cast. This is the entire cast case. There's no pressed metal on this at all. I'm guessing it's some kind of cast alloy. It is extremely heavy. We'll have a look at the wiring on it. We've got a old school cloth coloured cable on it. This is probably going to have to go. I'm not sure what condition this is actually in. We'll quick look in the plug. If you know, whenever I get something from a car boot sale, before I switch it on, generally, I always like to check the plug, so you don't know what's happened in the past. You don't know how whoever wired that plug has wired it. So we'll pop the plug open. Now, I will say though, I do already know this works because the guy insisted on demonstrating it for me at the car boot sale. He had a little petrol generator, little 700 watt petrol generator, and he fired it up on that. So I do know it. There we go. I do know it definitely works, but it is obviously, the wiring is very old on it. It is going to need some. It is going to need some work, because I do intend to put this into fair use. So a quick look in the plug. It's actually wired reasonable. We don't have much in the way of strain relief on the earth there, so it would need rewiring, but it's not bad at all. These are nice and tight, yeah. I'm not sure about the 13 amp fuse in it yet. I'll have to check the rating on the motor. That probably is a little bit big for a grinder such as this. I think probably a 5 amp would be more in line. But that's fine. It's good enough for us to plug it in and demonstrate it working. We'll plug that in and we can see it spin up, and it's just, you can tell the quality of this just by how quiet it runs. And we'll plug in like that. Let's me switch on. There we go. Obviously it needs bolting down, but look at that. Switch it back on. Proper decent. I will, like I say, obviously I will have to fix it down or else it will vibrate around a little bit, but proper rotary switch for on and off as well. And what did I pay for this monstrosity? Well, the chap wanted £30 for it, and he was adamant that he wanted £30 for it. And so much, like I said, I offered him 20. He said, I want 30 for it. I said, would you take 20 for it? He said, no, absolutely not. He wouldn't take any less than 30 for it. He said, I will show it you work, and he fired his little generator up. And I don't know if it hadn't been used. He said to me it hasn't been used for 6 months. It's been in his shed for 6 months, and it's absolutely perfect. Well, it wouldn't switch on. We had to mess about, and quite a few times like that until it actually started up. Now it's just as simple as the contacts in there will have tarnished with it being sat in a shed for 6 months. But with that and me saying, look, I'm going to have to rewire it, I'm obviously going to have to look at the switch. We take 25 for it, and he accepted me, so £25. I think that was an absolute steal for £25. If you go on Machine Mart or anywhere like that, the cheapest grinders you can get are around the £40 mark, and that's more kind of like what I've got, the little benchtop one that I've got. You cannot get anything of this quality and this size for £25. So I thought that was a massive bargain. I will get that out of the way, and we'll have a look at the slightly more modern thing that I picked up. Ooh, God, that is heavy. Put that on the floor, and that can go down into my workshop until I get time to actually look at it. And the next thing we've got is a Sports Directs bag. Right, there's various stalls in there that pile it high and sell it cheap, and this came off one of these kind of stalls. What's in here? This is a Swan. If you saw my previous video on sorting that CCTV equipment out for a friend of mine, this is basically the same thing. This is a Swan digital video recorder for a CCTV system, and it seems to be all there. We've got input for 4 cameras, we've got HDMI and VGA out, we've even got an audio output there. So we've got the recorder, we've got a camera, and this is all Swan gear. I mean, Swan have made CCTV stuff for a long time. It's obviously a little bit on the old side because it has started to yellow slightly, but what said we have there. And not only that, we have another camera. So we've got basically a complete setup here. 2 cameras, the recorder, all the wiring to connect it all up. Oh, bloody hell, I didn't actually realise we've got 3 cameras. And I've got a bent spatula. Never mind about that. So we've got 3 cameras. USB mouse. All the power supplies. Because these cameras each need a power supply, and then obviously you need a power supply to run the hard drive recorder as well. Now I'm not gonna, I might do a separate video on actually seeing if any of this works. That's not really what this video is about. This is more what have I got from my car boot pickups. So we've got 3 cameras, and these are, like I said, we'll need a bit of a clean up, but there we go. And they are the infrared ones, so these should work reasonably well in low light conditions. Loads of cabling. Loads of cabling. And the hard disk recorder itself. So we'll have, in fact, let's have a little like I said, we won't bother trying to fire any of that up. Although what we could do actually, see if I've got a correct power supply here. 12 volts at 1 amp. That might be enough. I don't really want to bother hooking all the cameras and everything up, but what we could possibly do is hook up that and connect it up to a monitor and see if it does anything. Because to be honest, this is the expensive bit really. The cameras are a bit... I've got loads and loads and loads of CCTV cameras, and they basically they all just run with composite video, so they're fairly well compatible with one another. What we is harder to get is a good storage solution. You know, I usually, if I'm doing one of these, I usually build one out of an old PC or something like that, but that's a much more nice, elegant solution than hooking up an old PC. Let's see what that is. Alright, I think that might be the power supply for that, because all the other ones are 1 amp, and that's they're all 12 volts, but all the others are 1 amp, and this one's 2 amps. So I'm guessing this is the one for this. So let's just for curiosity's sake, let's power this up and see if it does anything. Plug that in over there. We've got a power light. We've got a VJ monitor here, so in fact, can I get that down so you can see the monitor? Yes I can, that's easy enough. We'll put that there, we'll get you up like that. Let's plug that into there and we'll see if we get anything out of it. Well, if you notice, look at that, it works. So obviously there are 4 video inputs. You can use any VGA screen or HDMI, to be honest, monitor to drive this thing. I wonder what happens if I plug this mouse in, see if it does anything. Let's plug a mouse in, see if we get mouse control. It supports the mouse. Yeah, look. So you can select between them. Oh look. So you can basically control the entire thing with a mouse, that's quite cool. Playback. Obviously I'm going to have to wipe all this, clear all the passwords if I want to use this. It's password protected, but that's not a problem. You can usually wipe all these things and set them back to default. Especially because I'm not interested in what footage is on here. I'm not bothered what's on here. That's not why I got it. But yeah, that's kind of cool. That all seems to work quite nicely. Setup wizard there. Again, yeah, I'll have to get past this. I'll have to wipe all the passwords, wipe the hard drive that's in here, and I can basically reuse this for another system, because I do occasionally, people ask me, can you sort me some kind of basic CCTV system out on the cheap. Everyone that asks me, they want things done on the cheap. If I can pick stuff up cheap, it means that I can do something for someone on the cheap. And that leads me to what I paid for this. So we got 3 cameras. Obviously we've not tested whether the cameras work yet. But we've got 3 cameras, the recorder, we got a Sports Direct bag, which is a useful bag actually. I use them for when I'm chopping up my firewood to put my firewood in. You know, them good strong bags like that. And we even got a USB optical mouse, and I paid £1 for the lot. Basically I went up to the guy, it was like I said, end of the day again, and he just shouted anything on the floor £1. Which were, to be honest, mostly complete and total junk. It's just a way that they do of clearing stuff they don't really want to carry home. Anything that's of any value, usually they've already put back away, or at least put on tables, and the stuff on the tables isn't £1, everything on the floor is £1. But this bag with all the stuff in it was on the floor, so I went up and said, is this £1, mate? He said, was it on the floor? I said, yeah. He said, well, it's £1 then. So I give him his £1. So yeah, that entire CCTV system cost me £1. Right, let's get on to the last item. We've got another vintage item. I know a lot of you like my the vintage stuff that I get. This is another heavy one. And it's something that this isn't my main focus when I'm looking for vintage, but if I see something that's perhaps either someone else that I know might want, or I can see a value in it, I might grab it. And this is a case like that, and it is this. Now what we've got here, this is a Grundig TK20 reel-to-reel tape recorder. Now let's see if I can remember how to get into one of these. There we go. And actually, it doesn't look in particularly bad condition, this one. It actually looks in rather nice condition. It still has the little cellophane with all the controls. These usually go missing, this little piece of plastic with all what the buttons do. I think it's like an English translation of, because these are German machines, but basically you've got everything to show you how to operate the machine, but in English printed on here. And like I said, they usually go, and people take them off, or they all go manky and they get rid of them. Now, it's missing one bright work there, that's unfortunately gone, and the case isn't perfect. I've had a few Grundig tape recorders through my hands over time, and every single one of these style has had this, where basically the speaker is behind there, and they use this incredibly thin plastic as the speaker grill, and actually this one's in better condition than a lot that I see. There's usually holes poked all through here where the speaker is. It's cracked all there. It's got a chunk missing out there, unfortunately, but it's all smashed down there as well. But it is actually more intact than usually you find on these. Now, the guy that I bought this off, he swore to me blind this works. So I think what we'll do is we'll try it. Again, like before, we will open the plug first, and we'll just make sure how this plug has been wired. So we're not looking for perfection, we're just looking for something that isn't going to fry us. So let's take the top off, and right, let me get you zoomed in here. This is the exact reason why I always open plugs before I try things. Look at that. You see, we've basically got a situation there where there's millimeters between the live there and the neutral there, where the wire, if you look here, you see how all that wire where the insulation's been taken off and it's just bare. And we look on this side, the neutral is exactly the same. the car grips loose. So with all that pushed in there, there is such a chance of those shorting straight together. Now, we're not going to cause any major issues with that, apart from the fact we've got a 13 amp fuse in there. So you get quite a bang and it'll blow the circuit breaker in your house. This is the reason, like I said, why we check these before we plug it in. Well, you could have the situation here, that earth, well, you just saw how easy that was to break free. That earth comes out, it's moving around, all it needs is for that to touch on there like that, which can happen. Anything metal then on this tape player, oops, basically anything on here that's metal has the potential of being at mains voltage. You grab hold of the player, zap, you're dead. So that is why it's so important when you're buying old equipment, it's got a rewirable plug on it, check how it's been wired. So that is a really good case in point there. Right, what I will do, in fact, where's my safe block? If I can find my safe block, we'll use that. What is it in that box? I'm not actually sure where I have put my safe block at the moment, so just bear with me a second, folks. I will be right back. Right, okay, we're back. Fortunately, it was just stuck in the drawer. So this, if you haven't seen one before, is a safe block or a quick test. It's a really safe, easy way to connect something without a plug on it to the mains. So what we will do is we will plug that in over there. The next thing we will do is we'll take that plug off. That's how easy it was. That was not properly wired. If you notice in the safe block as well, I have a 3 amp fuse, because I basically only use this for powering up, you know, record players, radios, tape recorders, stuff like that. So I always keep just a 3 amp fuse in there, because the stuff that I'm going to be testing with obviously is only more low current devices. But what you do with this is you can literally connect, make sure you haven't got any strands floating about, but you can connect live, neutral and earth safely like that. That's nice and safe. Black is our neutral, red obviously is our live, green is our earth. And what we do is this is not energized. When I pull that lid down, that energizes it and we've got power to the tape recorder. Slightly unfortunately, it didn't come in with any tapes. I usually steer away. I actually, generally when I buy these, I buy them to find out what's on the tapes, because I'm kind of interested with that. Unfortunately, this one didn't come with any tapes. Fortunately, if I go over here, I dug some out of my collection. So we've got, that is actually a proper Grundig take-up roll. That goes on there like that. Now what have we got we can play? I've got some, the problem is some of the stuff I've got here is well, I don't know if it's going to be copyright or not. We've got the King and I. We might get away with playing that. Or I've got some, these are just things that have come with old players that I've bought. I don't actually know what's on these. In fact, there's no index card or anything with that. Shall we try this, see if this works? It might have spoken word on it, it might have something recorded off the radio, it might have classical music, we don't know. So, in fact, we'll spool this up before we power it up. We take our leader, bring it through the mechanism, like that. Get that down there. Take it round the other spool. There we go. We'll just get some of that around there. And that's ready to go. Unfortunately, it's the one. It's that I'm just trying to find where off is. I think that's off. Right. What we will do, we will energise it. We will try find out where is the on button on this. There it is. We'll switch on. That's yeah, that's on there. Obviously, this is a valve unit, so we have to allow it to warm up. Give it a few minutes to. I can't actually hear anything coming from the. I can't hear anything coming from the speaker. That is. I'd expect actually to be hearing a hum from the speaker at this point, so it looks like the guy might have lied to me. Let's see if we've got any life if we try. Nope. Thought that would turn, but obviously not. So no. We don't seem to have any signs of life from this unit whatsoever. It does seem completely dead. I'll just quickly make sure that my wire in there is nice and tight on the safe block, which it is. Put it down again. No, it looks like the guy lied to me. Because there is no signs of life from that tape recorder at all. We'll switch off. So I'm not bothered in any way, shape or form it doesn't work, because basically what that means is we've either got a repair video out of it, which would be quite nice. We can have a look seeing if we can repair it. Even if we can't repair it, there are so many useful parts in one of these. I used to completely dismiss tape recorders and not even bother with them for a long time. And then I ended up with some, sort of, I won't say by mistake, but I bought some record players. The guy had a few tape recorders and he basically said you can take them with the record players or I'm taking them to the tip. So I ended up with, I think, 4 or 5. And I must admit, they were in a bad state compared with this. I think Andy ended up with a couple of them. For parts machines. But basically what I realised is these things are a fantastic source of parts. We've got, we'll have something like an ECL82, ECL86 output valve in them. They almost all use 12AX7 or an ECC83 in them. And we have a nice Magic Eye tuning indicator as well up there. So there are loads and loads of useful parts. You can you've got a mains transformer, which is good for valve stuff. You've got an audio output transformer, you've got a speaker, valve holders, everything like that. So these are great even if you can't get it working. Just to strip for parts for general bits and bats that you can use if you're restoring vintage radios, record players, amplifiers, stuff like that. And what did I pay for it? This was another on one of these general kind of junk stores. I don't know where these chaps get the stuff, but they really don't know what they're selling. And they do tend to lie, like, yes, it works perfectly, when, quite frankly, I don't think they even would know how to switch it on. The guy wanted £20 for it. There is no way I would ever pay £20 for one. I offered him a tenner, and he snapped my hand off for the tenner. I'm pretty sure if I'd offered him a fiver, he would have probably snapped my hand off for a fiver. But there is far more than 10 quid's worth of usable parts in this. Even if I can't get it working, there's no interest in it, I can still salvage a lot more than £10 worth of actual parts out of this for other projects. So that's basically it. That is what I picked up at the Smithfield Market and car boot sale this morning. Like I say, it's not one of the biggest hauls that I've ever had. I spent more than I normally do, actually, especially considering I bought that Wolf grinder. But when I realised that, you know, £25, I thought that was an absolute steal for a piece of equipment of that quality. You can't go wrong with £1 for an entire CCTV system. And like I said, 10 quid, and I know for a fact, just if the output valve's good in this, it's worth a tenner. Then we've got, like I said, the transformers, the other valve. I mean, if it's got an ECC83 in there, 12AX7, it's the same valve, and that's good. That's a £20 valve, because it will be a decent make. It'll be a Mullard or something like that, with this being a Grundig most likely. So, like I said, absolute steal. I'm rather pleased with what I managed to pick up today. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. Like I said, this was just a quick pickups video. So, I'll probably just mess with the CCTV stuff off camera, really. It's not something that is a great interest of people on here, I don't think. But I'm sure you'll be seeing this again. We'll do see if we can get this thing running and playing some tapes. And I might even do another video on the Wolf bench grinder, actually getting that up into a really nice working safe condition. We might have to have a look at that wire on it, see if it's in good condition. If not, mega it out, you know, make sure it's alright. If not, I've got plenty of other TRS, which is tough rubberized sheath cable used on that type of equipment. Put a new cable on it, check that switch out, give it a good clean up. I might even blast the actual casing of it and repaint it. It's such a good piece of equipment, it's worth spending a little bit of effort on to make it right. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. I hope you enjoyed this little video, so I'll say thanks for watching and goodbye.